Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Soumya, and I'll be today's trainer, and I'll be conducting the webinar based on personality development. Uh, hi, Moon. Hi, Namrata. Can you guys hear me? Okay, everyone. I think it's already been 7:07, so let's start with the webinar. So my name is Soumya. Let me introduce myself. My name is Soumya, and I'm working for one of the MNC company, and also I'm a trainer for English language as well. So currently I'm staying in Bangalore. So that's a very short self introduction about me. So let me start with the content about the webinar, what we have gathered here today. So just a second, let me share my screen. Okay, I hope screen is visible. Okay, so today we'll be discussing about as provided on the webinar topics. So we'll be discussing about verbal communication, body language, voice projection, posture, storytelling, active listening, stage presence, self-awareness. So I'll be giving a few tips on how to present yourself when you are when you're on the stage and when you're giving presenting something um, in front of public or anyone with a known audience or with your colleagues or anyone. So let's start with the verbal communication. Um, just a second, let me write in. Okay. Okay. So verbal communication means, as already everyone knows about it. So verbal communication means communication through spoken or written words. So verbal, it will always be through words, as names, I mean, as the word suggests. So verbal communications, it will be always, it can also be a language. So it doesn't mean that you have to be speaking or what is it? Um, your audience should understand. That's the main agenda of verbal communication. So it doesn't matter. Sometimes, people find difficulties with their pronunciation or with their accent. Uh, so so sometimes you have to keep in mind that those points will let others down. So when you're presenting something, ensure that you have a confidence and your communication must be clear. So even though if you don't have a clear pronunciation or accent, so don't bother about that. Just be clear what you are telling. So verbal communication will always play important role when you're talking. So it should be very precise when you're giving example, when you're presenting something. Ensure that your points are very crisp. It's not like when you're giving PPT or when you're giving a session or a webinar like this. So ensure that your words are very crisp. I mean, it should be point. I mean, it should be up to the point. There should be no drag in that in those points. So the verbal communication can be we can consider in the two ways. So one is oral communication and written communication. So oral communication, as you already know, so when we speak, that will be an oral communication. And written communication, how we write, so how we interact with other person through email, it could be WhatsApp, uh, chat, anything it could be. So oral, how we speak, it could be telephonic conversation or one-on-one conversation. So it could be anything. Verbal communication, oral communication implies communication through mouth. So as oral, it will be from mouth. So it includes individual conversing with each other, uh, be it direct conversation or telephonic conversation, as I told before. So verbal communication, it doesn't have rules and regulations. It has to be like that. It will be always a personal communications. It can be one-on-one conversation or a meeting with your team. It could be anything. But when you're talking about uh, the written communication, there are some certain rules where you should be taking care of that. For example, if you are communicating to other person through email, ensure that you follow some email etiquettes. But oral communication, it doesn't have something like that. No, it has to be like that. But yes, when you're speaking to your higher ups, so ensure that you are you know about what you're talking. So before you speak, think, and then you talk to your the other person. But when it comes to written communication, it depends how you are communicating to that other person. If it's an email, letter, or you are sending a fax or a WhatsApp chat. WhatsApp chat will be always informal communication. It doesn't have to be a formal communication. But when you're writing an email, it should be a valid, and you should follow some etiquettes. For example, you cannot say, uh, hey, hey, Samya, no. Unless they are your friends, that's fine. But if they are your higher ups, ensure that you follow some etiquettes like hi, hello, like that. Okay. And while ending, regards. And in the body of your email should also convey what you wanted to say. And, the pronunciation, sorry, not pronunciation, sorry. The punctuation, um, full stop, comma, all those things should be taken care of while drafting an email. So, in verbal communication, written communication has more power. And when you are having an oral communication, you don't have a proof. For example, if you're talking to your manager and he promised you something on an through oral, so that will not be that cannot be documented. And even if you want to tell something, you don't have any proof that no, the person has told me like this and he has promised me this. But when you have everything on email, so it's a written document, so no one can go against that. So ensure that it depends. So you have to decide. You will be the own judge of whether you have to use it oral communication or a written communication. And depending on the situation, you can utilize both as well. So sometimes there will be a scenario that you are talking to a client, and where you will be sending an email uh, about some documents or some the legal papers. So what you can do is you can you can tell them after sending out an email, you can call that person and you can tell him that hi, Mr. Robin, I have shared the legal documents. Could you please go through the legal documents and then come back to me? So you can have both. So again, you are just reminding it, and you are reminding that person to go through the legal documents. So there is nothing wrong. So it's all depend on you whether you have to have a oral communication or a written communication. But ensure that if it's a written communication, you're drafting in a professional way. The advantages of having verbal or written communication. Uh, so as you already know, when you're having oral communication, your feedback will be immediate. For example, if I'm having a one-on-one session, and the manager will be able to give you immediate feedback, and it will be time saving because you don't have to wait for the other person response. So that will save your time. And economical, because it doesn't involve any internet, paper. Because if you're writing a letter, so that doesn't require a paper as well, pen or paper, nothing. It doesn't need anything like that. Personal touch, actually, your tone. See, when you're speaking, your tone, uh, the pitch, the rapport between with you and the other person will always matters a lot. So, for example, when you're speaking to a person who has gone through, uh, emotional changes, like for example, he was having some problem with his family, and then obviously that person will not be in a right phase to talk to you. So always in that phase, ensure that you're talking to that person in empathy, but not too much of empathy should be shown. But yes, empathy should be there in your words. So all those things will only come when you're having an oral communication. And obviously, if it's a one-on-one, there will be a secret, and that will be that will be that conversation will always stay between you and that other person. And group communication can also be done. So yes, if it's a hurdle or a meeting, when you're inviting other participants, like with the team members of that particular organization. So always, sometimes, for example, when the conversations is not going good on an email, so it's always suggestible to get on a call with that client, and that will ensure all the other participants will be on the same page. Means everyone will be able to agree and understand what we are trying to make them understand about the content, what we are trying to imply. Okay. And forms of oral communication. So as I told before, so it can be face-to-face communication, interviews, telephonic conversations, negotiations. It means when you are in a sales department, for example, when you're talking to a client about the deals or anything which is related to money, it could be. So there will be a negotiations, right? For example, you will not be able to agree to the whole point. For example, a client will only propose $1 billion, but actually, according to the business, the 1 billion will not be sufficient. So you have to negotiate with the people, with the other person, or it could be a client. So negotiation will always play important role when the person is in the sales sector. Okay, it could be a meetings, lecture, or a speech, presentation, conference, seminars, or workshop. So all these are forms of oral. I mean, these are the forms of oral communications. What I can come up with. Written communication, as I've already explained in depth before. Uh, so written communication advantages. So again, I think. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So as I have informed before, written communications, emails, websites, memorandums, logs, letters, reports. Like for example, when it could be a reports of the team performance or something like that. Notice, minutes of meeting. Actually, whenever there is a meeting, the other person or the host of the meeting will always send the minute of meeting. The minute of meeting is nothing but points which has been discussed in that meeting. So that will cover all the, the summary of the call, what we have, what we have had before on that call. So that will be the minute of meeting. Circulars, again, it could be pamphlets also, you can see. Manuals, uh, handbooks, inquiries, compliance, quotations, and it could be sales contracts, newsletters, bulletins, board notice, etc. Okay, so now we'll be going ahead with the body language. When it comes to body language, especially when you're on the stage or when you're giving presentation, your body language, or if you're a trainer, your body language will always give the other person, the impression about you, how confident you are, and whether you can, whether the audience can trust that person who is on stage or not. So body language will always matters a lot. For example, if you are standing, you should not be too strict. Too at the standings where leisure, where you'll be shaking your hands, chewing bubble gum. So that will not be the right way when you are giving presentations. So and also how you dress will also matters a lot. For example, if it's a business meeting, it should be in a formals. It doesn't matter whether you are wearing a jeans or not, but the attire should be pleasant to others. So that's what I can say. And the hand signatures, like the few people have a tendency to touch their nails while giving a presentation, and rub their fingers, touch their nose. No, that those are the things, a very big no-no when you are giving a presentation or when you're on stage. Human tendency, it goes automatically, without your unknowingly, few things happens. But ensure that when you're giving a presentation, and if it's a first time, ensure that you prepare well for that presentation. It's not something like that, they will pull you down. No, they will wait for you to explain completely. So have that confidence. Unless you are not confident about the content, what you are trying to tell them, then yes, they will take you on a ride with all sort of questions. So be confident. Your confident will be the jewelry for the next 1 hour, or till the session, till where you end the session. So ensure that you carry that confidence always. Okay. So when you're giving presentation, or when you're taking a seminar, so the body language, as I told you, 7%, it's not, the number should not always be the accurate. So it's just the based on a survey. So 7% will be the verbal, so that will be conveyed through words. 38% vocal. Vocal means the tone of that voice. So for example, when you're speaking, and if you're trying to tell that person, and if you're yelling at that, but you think that it's not a yelling, but for you that's a normal tone, it cannot be happening like that. So ensure that when you're giving a presentation, or when your voice should be reachable to your audience, and it should not be yelling. Your tone should be standard. You should maintain your pace of your words, and your tone as well. So there is a difference between tone and pace. And 55% of non-verbal, that is body language. So here the body language has more weightage than other components which is related to the communication when you are giving a presentation. So body language. Okay, so you can give 5 types of body languages over here. So eye contact, facial expression, gestures, postures, stance, and space relationship. Okay, so eye contact. Let me discuss about that. When you're, when you have a less audience, uh, you know, staring at one person will make that other person more uncomfortable. So eye contact, but if you don't have a eye contact with your audience, they will lose a trust on you. So that's an experience what I have gone through. So ensure that you have a eye contact, but not a staring. So there is a difference between eye contact and a staring. So staring is something where you will be concentrated of one particular person. But when you're when you're conducting a session or when you're giving a presentation, ensure that your eye should all around your audience, not all around, towards your audience. It should not be directed only towards one particular person. So that will be a staring. Okay. Facial expression. If you're giving a positive points, ensure that you have a not uh, uh, a very big smile. At least carry a smile. Your face should positive. I mean, your face should reflect it's positive. But you're telling something. Hey, this year we have got 2 billions of sales this year. But if your face is something which tells different, that means your face expression is very sad or something like that, just which is not matching to your words. So that will not go accordingly. So they will think the audience will get confused. So facial expression, eye contact, gestures. So ensure that all your gestures will be monitored, like hand signal, anything like that. So all those will come under gestures. And posture. When we're giving presentation, if it's a boy, I'm talking about if it's if he's a man. Um, putting hand inside the pocket, sometimes it's a very big no-no. Being a trainer, I'm giving an example. Being a trainer, he should always uh, he should be more mindful about his postures, how he walks, how he stand, and how he is able to manage all the other audience matters a lot. And space relationship. If you have observed your trainers or anyone, your lecturer it could be, or your teacher, um, they will always ensure that they will cover the whole class. Not they will go to the from one corner to other corner, but on the stage they'll ensure that they cover all the space what they have. So that means they will not stand in one particular place. They will be walking to one corner to the other corner on the stage. So that means that that represents that the presenter, for the audience they are covering the whole of their audience. So that's what it implies. So if you're standing in one singular one place, so it's like they'll get, sometimes they'll not, the audience will get bored. So that's the main reason where a space relationship will always matters a lot. And it should not be too wide also. Your space should not be too wide. It should be for your walkable distance. For example, if you walk too much, you lose a concentration about what you wanted to tell. So mind your mind your steps, your gestures, eye contact, facial expressions. It should all be taken in considerations. As I told before, so too much of eye contact, that will be dominant or lack of respect. So it will be like threatening also, if there are some instances where the other audiences, they have told that person is staring at me, and that's very comfortable and uncomfortable. And I think he's, thinking that I have stolen something. So these are the words which will come up. So too much of eye contact it's dangerous. That's what I can say. And okay, so when you're having a conversation, example, when you're giving a presentation, so there are three components, key components of a powerful sound. So that is personality, passion, strong vocals. So I will not be explaining too much about this because this is something which is too in depth. But I'll give you a glimpse of all these 3 points. When you are speaking, ensure that you mind your tone and your pitch. Pitch means, for example, if I'm angry, my voice will be too high. And if I'm talking to a normal person, I mean, if I'm talking to a person in a normal way, my tone will be in the same pace. So if you can observe my tone is it's remained the same. But actually, when I'm speaking something, when I'm pronunciating something, my tone varies. So your tone, your pitch will all should change according to what you're trying to say. For example, um, you're talking to a person who has lost his family member. But if I say, "Hi, Ramesh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry this happened to you." See, my sound, I have a happiness in my sound. So the other person will feel bad about my expression. But if I'm saying something which is sad, I can say like this. My tone should be lesser than what I speak normally. It could be like this. Hey Ramesh, I'm so sorry to hear about loss. I hope you're doing fine, and how you're able to cope up. So just let me know if you need anything, any support. Could be financial or it could be emotional support. I'm always there for you as your friend. So yes, so there was a difference between the first sentence and the second sentence. So facial expression, when you're having a one-on-one conversation, during that instance, facial expression, pitch, tone will always matters a lot. So we should be mindful about that. Okay. So the reason behind why I have added advice on breathing in this PPT, because when you're speaking, when you're giving a session, it's always without your knowledge, your voice, you will lack of breathing. I mean, you'll go restless. So if you have a continuous of session of 1 or 2 hours, so it will be like that, where you will miss few points which you wanted to tell them. So ensure that you you maintain your breathing. For example, uh, you know uh, I used to have this problem before, because that was my first sessions. Um so yeah, speaking too fast, you will feel tired. So during that time, actually, if I'm speaking now, I'm not able to breathe properly. So actually, before, whenever a person going to a session uh, on a stage, they take a deep breath. They store their, it's a suggestion that they store their energy. So if they are so few people, they have a tendency to speak fast. That should not happen. There should be a pause whenever it's necessary. So speaking too fast, no, that will drain you, and that will make the person who is presenting, that will make that other person restless. So solution for that: pause, stop, and take a breath. And speaking too slow, that will actually, when you're speaking too slow, the audiences will lose trust on you. They feel it's boring. It's always, it should always go like this. Ensure that you have your audience attention towards you. They should trust you. Whenever you are giving something to the audience, whenever you're speaking something to the audience, they should have a trust on you to grasp that. Otherwise, they'll give a session, what is this? This is a boring session. Why I'm sitting here? That should not be the scenario. So these are the tips to have a proper breathing. The reason behind, if you concentrate about your breathing, even your pitch, your tone, your pace will always be in a well mannered. So you'll not go too high or you'll not go too slow also. Okay. Posture, as I told you, there are, if you Google, you'll have more videos about or more images of how you should be when you're on the stage. So you can follow that because if I get into that posture, so it's completely in depth. So it depends about the audience also. So how you're presenting yourself. So posture is something which is in depth and it's enough to cover in 3 or 4 minutes. So postural development, yeah, but ensure that you are stiff. Not too stiff. You are presenting to the audience in a well mannered. Don't lean towards the audience. Your back should be straight. So that's what I can say. Body language will also matters a lot because how you're walking, how you're talking, how you're covering all your audience, so that always uh, get you a positive note from your audience. Okay, know your audience. When you're presenting something, ensure that you know more about your audience. That means who will be your participants? Who will be the participants of that session? The reason behind, if they are underage, like 5 years or 6 years, you cannot tell them, hey, please get the pen and paper and write down what you have understood. No, you cannot tell them. The way of interacting with the 5 year age group and senior citizen will always be a different session for them. And a person, a group which has a professionals. So for them, it will be different. So you can be, fast when when you want to cover all the points. You can be fast as well. So you better always know about who will be your audience. If there is a group of more males in that session, so ensure that the sessions will be sometimes difficult or tricky because if you're handling a session, if you're taking a session for college students, and you know how college students will be. So that's the reason it's always better to know about your audience before you conduct any session. And how to engage your audience. For example, when you're talking to your audience, sometimes you lose, audience will lose interest on you. Meaning, when you're not covering them, for example, when you're giving a session, when you're conducting any session, uh, then what will happen during the session, they will ask some questions where you will not be able to tackle that question. So even though if it's not relevant to the session, but they'll ask some questions which is not relevant. So during that time, there are high chances that your audience will lose their trust, or they'll not be able to uh, they'll not be able to engage themselves. So ensure that uh, you engage your audience. Sometimes few people, they'll tell story. This happened to me. For example, during a session, there will be instances where they have to give their own real life exam. So for that, uh, if it's just only about just giving or reading a PPT or giving points based on the PPT, no one will be able to listen to it. So ensure that at least you give some real-time example, and that will grab the attention of audience. So that's what you should be doing when you are taking session. Uh, so that's an engage, and that will be the point for engage your audience. And well, don't be limited to the words. Sometimes, what we prepare in the PPT, it will be too short for them. The session will be for 1 hour, but we'll not be able to cover it for at least for 40 minutes also. Session will end within 20 minutes. So that should not happen. Be prepared with your words. And storytelling, for example, storytelling, it doesn't mean that you have to tell a story to the other person or to your kids. Storytelling means you can give your own life examples, scenarios, like how you have, for example, when you're talking to your manager, especially on you have done some mistake, and if you're talking to your manager, always have, and when you become when you become a TL or a team lead or a manager, you will have, you can share the experiences with your teammates. So those kind of things will also come under storytelling. So that will enhance the confidence of your teammates. If you give them a real-time example, that will be always good for them. Okay. And when you're giving PPTs or when you're conducting any session, always uh, find a find a suitable pictures, because a picture is worth 1,000 words and a video is all the more. Because no one will have a patience to go through all the videos. But picture, I'm pretty sure that they will grasp the point, what you wanted to what you want to tell them. So always when you're giving PPT, don't add too much of pictures as well. And also it should be not be too much of word. So it should be a mix of both. I haven't added pictures because instead of going through the words and my words, they might just only grab the pictures. So that's the reason I haven't added any pictures over here. Okay. And yeah, self-awareness. And okay, so let's come to that point later. So active listening. Uh, Active listening is something which you should be more aware of that while you are giving something or when you're presenting something. Okay, so let me take an example over here. There is a session where one of our professor is taking that session. So the other audience, the audience or the person who is listening to that lecturer, they should be more listening. So there is a difference between just hearing actively, listening actively. So listening actively means he is just understanding what he's trying to say, the pitch, the points in depth. So whatever the points they are trying to tell them, he'll be able to understand. And that other person will not interrupt in the middle. So that person will allow them to speak completely, and then he will ask the other question. But a person who is just listening or hearing, they can interrupt you. And if you're a presenter, if you're giving presentation and if you are a host, listen to your audience. Don't interrupt them. Unless if it's really, the point is going to the different direction, then you can tell that. Then you can, sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry, your point is not valid. to this session. So you can tell them like this, but don't be rude to them. So say it in a polite way. Okay. The last point, which I would like to discuss, is about self-awareness. So for this point, it's a dynamic point. I mean, it's a dynamic topic. What I can, what I can say. For example, if you want to take a session to fifth standard, so you should be knowing about what you are trying to cover and what will be the duration and what are the questions you are going to ask your audience and what are the questions you might be expecting uh, while taking the session. And also you should be self-aware about your space, your audience, all those matters a lot. So by this last point, I would like to conclude today's session, today's webinar session. So I'll leave this next 5 minutes for questions. So anyone would like to ask anything or they have any questions?
Hello.
Yes, Shilpa.
Yeah. So actually, Farzana and Trisha, can you have any doubts or you have to be asked any questions? Farzana,
No, ma'am.
Trisha,
Yeah, ma'am, I'm Trisha.
yeah. Farzana, she is not in the line, I think. Okay.
I think Farzana, she's having some issues with the audio because I think she has pinged here. Common phrases to be used while giving PPTs. Sorry, Farzana, can you be more specific? I didn't understand your question. Farzana, can you speak? Or you can type if you have an audience issue. I mean, audio issue. Okay, what I understood from your question, common phrases to be used while giving PPTs, you can. Again, it depends on you and your audience. So yes, you can use. So there is nothing wrong in that. So any other questions? Farzana? She said no. Okay.
We can
And one thing I would like to.
Yeah. So sorry.
So one thing you can remember, Farzana or Trisha. So when you are giving a session, so you are the host. So it depends on you, what you want to convey to them, what you want to show. It all depends on you. Words, sentence, it's all up to you. That's all, Shilpa. So from my end.
Thank you, Soumya. It was a nice, good information about English and the communication part and everything.
Thank you, Shilpa. So are we good to end this call, or
you
are
can,
we expecting any other questions?
Yeah, Trisha and Farzana, they didn't ask it anything, right? It's okay. We can leave it off. We can end the meeting.
Thank you, Shilpa. I'll be wrapping up this session. Thank you, everyone present. I mean, sorry, this session was not. I think the audience are very shy about asking questions, so that's fine. Any questions, you can reach out to Shilpa. So she'll be assisting you accordingly. So thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.